So groups have stages, and what you do in each of those stages is different and important to tend to and be aware of. So beginning stage, members are nervous and fluctuate between being interested in being part of the group and keeping their distance, right? That's in the beginning. It's like, what is this? Is this a safe place? Am I gonna engage in this or not? And might dip a toe in and then step out. And that's totally normal. At this stage, the leader needs to take an active role in the group, acknowledging feelings, setting the tone, and creating safety in the group. And again, you gave so many examples of that, and I've spoken to that, where it is so important to set the tone, to make really clear boundaries and guidelines, to model what's going to be happening in the group. Setting the tone right from the start is really important. The group's purpose, norms, and values need to be discussed and agreed upon, and commonalities among members need to be recognized so members can feel connected to one another. So that's all in the beginning stage, what is happening and what needs to happen and what role we need to play as group facilitator. And I'll talk more about thinking about activities in relation to each of these. So in the middle stage, and this is true in groups of any length, it could, including a single session group, have these stages as well. Groups that go on for years, groups that go on for 4 weeks, anything and everything. So in the middle stage, members have begun to feel more comfortable and invested in the group. At this stage, members are testing, figuring out roles, and taking on more leadership in the group. So, this is something I'm sure you've all experienced, of members testing, and partly they're testing you not to be difficult. They're just testing, like, are you going to be able to hold this? Are you really a safe person for me to trust? And so I'm going to test you. They're not necessarily conscious of that, but that's what they're doing. And then, and so again, we get to not take that personally. When people test us, we just get to respond and, facilitate the group and step in and handle things. As we move into middle stage, as a leader, we can be less active and allow for more shared leadership because there's been trust built. It's clear that we are there holding the group. And so so there can be more room, that the group is a safe place that has somebody tracking it, and we can step back and allow more to come from the group itself. There's more relationships and mutual support that's been built, that can happen more. And members begin to take on more ownership of the group. And that's in the middle, not in the beginning. And mixing up these things, this is something that often, again, it's that fear of being too dominating and fear of replaying the experiences we had, in our own early lives, that practitioners will try to give the group ownership too early when it's only in the beginning stage. And that's not actually right. We need to own the group in the beginning. We're the ones responsible for setting the tone and creating safety. And if we hand that over too early before there's the relationships and the safety, then that doesn't go well. And so being thoughtful about that. Conflict is not bad. This is something that there's a lot of confusion about, that we fear conflict and also think it's bad, and it's not at all. Conflict arises in the middle stage, as safety's built and people build relationships and their issues start coming up more, there will be conflict. There's an understanding in social group work that conflicts and issues will arise in the group at this stage. And this is part of the process. And it's useful. Conflict is useful. If you could do a reflective activity here, I won't right now for time, but to think about a conflict that was really useful for you. It's not comfortable. Conflict is not comfortable, but it's really opportunity to move through something and learn and work through things. And that happening in a group is actually a wonderful opportunity. And to come through on the other side is so healing and empowering for people. So conflict is useful because it offers an opportunity for the group to grow. It can seem messy, but the work the group does has great benefits in terms of relationship building among members and between members and the group leader. Yeah, so can say more about that, but but that's something that there's just a lot of work for us to do around, and knowing that conflict is okay and good and right, and that when it's happening in a group, we get to say that as well, and name it, like, oh, we're having some conflict here. This is part of what happens as people are in relationship and working out how to be part of a group together, and we're going to work through that together. And holding that out, because so many of the conflicts that people have in their early life don't get worked out, and the ways they see people having conflict, either, you describe situations of people going at it with each other, or also just not dealing, and leaving conflicts unresolved. And that's really a harmful experience that is very disempowering, and leaves us not knowing how to actually be in relationship. And so, yeah, conflicts in middle stage, it's one of the beautiful opportunities, not always comfortable at all, but a beautiful opportunity. And then we have the ending stage, where members experience a range of emotions in reaction to the ending of the group. We've all had all kinds of endings in our lives, and many people we work with have had ones that didn't go well, and that they didn't have a chance to process or express their experiences of, and all that will come up at the end of a group, especially a group where there's been safety and relationship. And people will shy away from their feelings. And so sometimes members may deny that it's really an end, or revert to behavior exhibited at earlier stages of the group, or miss meetings, or show anger, things that are like, oh, these feelings feel too hard for me, so I'm going to avoid them in this way. And this is where our role as leaders is to help members share these feelings, while also creating opportunities for the group to reflect on their experience and progress in the group. Endings are really important and often not given enough attention. And again, we have our own discomfort with endings as practitioners. I even had that when I left a program I was running. I left to go run another program, and I had been at that program for many years, and it was a big deal for the participants. Actually, I had two different experiences where I moved to another program. And the first one, I was really able to make space for people to have all the feelings that they needed. And I had to do my own work to be able to do that, to have people be upset with me, and these were young people who, I'd known for many years. Some of them had grown up in this program and were now on the staff, and we would have meetings together, and people needed to express sadness. They needed to feel upset with me. And I needed to be able to hold that, hold space for that, so they could move through it and not be stuck there, and not pretend, one thing that a mistake people made in endings is to just like have a celebration. Okay, let's have a party at the end. And that's actually not a great way to end a group, without having a chance to process, like, this feels sad that it's ending, or this is bringing up other experiences of goodbyes that I've had, or I feel mad that this is ending, or I feel scared that I don't have this group anymore. And really making space for that. There gets to be celebration also, and honoring what the work did, what the group did together. But it's really important to make space for people to express those hard feelings. And that's, again, such a wonderful healing opportunity to work through all the other experiences that they didn't get to do that with. And I'll go back to the example that I was giving, with that one group. There was another group that I left. I left this program that I had created, and it was so meaningful to me. And I was having such sadness myself that I wasn't facing my own sadness about leaving, that I couldn't hold space for other people, and I was avoiding it. And I thankfully had incredible supervision, and also a really wonderful relationship with my assistant director, who called me on it. And because I had modeled that and set the tone for being able to receive feedback, he said to me, "You're avoiding dealing with your leaving, and it's making it so other people can't." And I had the opportunity to work on that, so that I could hold space for people, because they needed to express that, and I needed to also, so that we could have an ending that didn't leave people stuck. And I've seen it happen where people have left groups without doing that, and it just leaves people not in a good place. So, either stuck feeling angry or disempowered, so endings are really important, to allow space for, to normalize people's feelings, to before maybe people express it, even to be able to say like, I bet you might be feeling sad about this, you know, just to acknowledge that, of course, that's going to be there, to acknowledge our own feelings, you know, can be really helpful to a group. So